Welcome back, folks, to another episode of the Believe in NFL Draft Prospects podcast. I'm Joe DeLeone, joined by NFL Draft analysts Ryan Roberts and Alex Gilstrap. It is Christmas week, folks. Guys, how you doing? Are you excited for Christmas?
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's been the holiday season of first for the baby, so I am ecstatic. We're going to Christmas Day for some reason. We're driving down to Florida with an 11
You're
month.
driving?
Yes, we're driving down to Florida.
Holy crap!
Not my idea.
That's a
I
drive.
would hope not.
I insisted to my wife, like, me and the baby will fly down. We can do that if you want to drive down to Florida. But no, we will be driving an 11-month-old, stopping in South Carolina, and eventually getting down to Florida.
Are you going to be stopping and visiting Alex on the way?
No, I mean, I never in my life wanted to stop in Georgia for any reason.
What?
So, yeah.
There's a lot more fun in Georgia than there is.
Alex, you can meet me in Orlando, okay? You can come down to Orlando.
You going to Disney World? Where are you going?
I think we're going to go to Disney World for the baby. I'm personally more of a Universal guy than Disney World. But
What?
Yeah, man. Oh, Universal's way better than Disney World. 100%. Like, for a little
I don't know
kid,
anyone that
sure.
has
That's
that
a hot take that I disagree with, but we'll keep going.
Wait, for an adult, though? Like, not for like a kid.
I just
Disney
don't.
World, yeah.
It's usually like the second. You usually
Okay,
go there
okay.
after you go to Disney World because
I can agree if
ran
you're-
out of time.
I can agree if it's just like you and the wife just going
Right.
because rides are better there. It more thrill.
sure.
But you have a kid, so the kid automatically that's Disney
Well, yeah.
World.
Oh, 100%. But I'm saying as like, if we're just talking
Just
about
in
in a
general.
vacuum, being a
Yeah.
20, 30-year-old man, you want to go to Universal. You want to ride on the Mummy 100 times. Like, that's what I want to do. You want to go to Harry Potter World and grab a wand or something. Or
You're telling me you don't want to
Butterbeer.
ride the teacups by yourself?
No, not personally. That's not an issue for me.
Well, it is Christmas season, so we decided to have a little fun. We're doing a corny topic, which is the perfect time of year to do that. So we're doing.
Joe's idea.
So yeah, it was my idea. I figured I'm
100%.
usually opposed to the corny topics, but I decided to say, you know what?
You're in the corny spirit.
I'm in the corny spirit. I decided to say, let's.
Are we gonna do like draft crushes on Valentine's Day next year?
No,
Joe?
that's
Like-
horrible. No,
Okay.
I am not that much of a hack. I refuse to do that crap. I also will not do the New Year's resolution bit. We're not doing that. We get one holiday related bit at a time, and that is it. But the holiday bit we're doing today is Christmas lists for fringe playoff teams. So teams that are on the outside looking in or possibly just sneaking their way in on that seventh wild card spot. Players that these teams should be asking for at positions of need that could get them over the hump and turn them into a fringe playoff team, into a playoff contending team. Before we get to that, though, folks, I need to tell you about our sponsors. First being Bet Online. You probably got some time off. You're probably sitting on the couch watching some bowl games, watching the random Tuesday night football, which we're going to be getting more and more of, apparently, with the NFL dealing with Omicron outbreaks. If you're doing that, you might as well make things a little more fun, make yourself some money. So head on over to Bet Online. Bet Online remains your number one spot for all basketball and football action this season. Head to their new updated desktop or mobile website to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code BELIEVE50 to receive your bonus from basketball, football, NHL, boxing, and UFC right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all of the amazing offers available for the 2021 season, soon to be 2022 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all of your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts. And unlike my two co-hosts here, I am not single, but Alex and Ryan can attest to the fact that you need to get something nice for your spouse, whoever is in your life, your loved one. And if you're going to do that, get them some Lightbox jewelry. Say goodbye to dull gifts. Lightbox lab-grown diamonds are the brightest gift of the year, using cutting-edge technology and innovative techniques. They've cracked the science of sparkle, creating the highest quality lab-grown diamonds you can find at a light price. $800 per carat. They have the same chemical makeup of natural diamonds, but are just grown in a lab. Because of their process, they can create stones in blush pink and beautiful blue, as well as classic white. Lightbox lab-grown diamonds are the gift they'll never want to take off price, so they won't have to. They really do make any outfit sparkle. Visit lightboxjewelry.com and add sparkle to your holiday shopping list. That's lightboxjewelry.com. Lightbox Diamonds, never a dull moment. All right, we paid the bills. Time to go shopping for some presents. Ryan, we're heading to you first. What is the team that you want to start off this with And I like the one that you picked because their need is probably one of the most glaring for a team that if they had this figured out, they'd probably be a good team right now.
Yeah, I mean, so Washington football team. So disclaimer, I know you kind of had laid out what the criteria was for this. I picked two teams that are currently on the outside looking in, one of the three out. One on the NFC side, one on the AFC side. I went with the Washington football team, who is a muddled, again, NFC East, although the Cowboys look stronger than they have over the last couple years. And obviously the big question mark that they had going into the year was they got Ryan Fitzpatrick, a quarterback, long-time bridge quarterback, stopgap type of player. And they were hoping that he would regulate what has been a very inconsistent quarterback spot. He gets hurt first game of the season. Taylor Heineke does some okay stuff at times, but like he's obviously not a guy. Like, let's be honest. He's now hurt. They're down to Kyle Allen again after seeing a little bit of him last season. So the quarterback position has been in shambles. They have a good team, though. I mean, to be honest, the defense underperformed for a large portion of the season, but they have building blocks all over that defense on all three levels. They have Terry McLaurin. They have Curtis Samuel. They have Logan Thomas, although he is hurt now. They have Antonio Gibson. Offensive line is still improving. Brandon Sheriff, obviously a really good guard. They got Sam Cosmi, who looks like a slam dunk at right tackle for the next few years. So I thought about maybe offensive tackle might be another spot, maybe a true left tackle, but they need a quarterback, man. And although it is not the year to maybe need one with what the 2022 class looks like, there's a guy that I'm still very high on if his knee checks out, and that is Carson Strong, quarterback from Nevada. And I think that it's a perfect fit for the Washington football team because if there is some question marks about the knee, he potentially could slide into the teens mid-first round. Like, it's very possible. I think if he checks out, he might go top 10 because I think that he has that type of upside. But he's possible in this range with the knee concerns, whether it checks out or not. And I think that he really fits the offense because you have McLaurin, who's a field stretcher. You have Curtis Samuel, who could do stuff as a yak guy and also a field stretcher. You have Logan Thomas, who can stretch the seam. You have guys to run a vertical stretch offense. You have those types of dudes, and there is no guy better in this class than Carson Strong. There's other quarterbacks in the class like Matt Corral and Malik Willis who are exciting talents, but are they guys that you're going to be comfortable with next year coming into your football team and delivering to potentially be a playoff team? I think if you keep Carson Strong protected with this defense, with these weapons, I think next year you could potentially win the NFC East because I think that that's that good of a roster. So Carson Strong, quarterback Nevada, to the Washington football team. I think it makes a lot of sense both from a schematic perspective and also from a obvious need perspective.
Yeah, I know we're taking this approach as, what does this team need now for the rest of these, last few games they have on the regular season schedule to make that push into the postseason. But I think long-term looking, this is the need for the This is the need for the Washington football team we've been talking about. They have all the building blocks. You touched on especially the defensive side of the football. Greg Newsome looks really, really good. Denzel Ward continues to be a key point on that defensive backcourt. Of course, whoa. I'm talking Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, we're talking Washington. With Greg Newsome.
Did you move to the Cleveland Browns?
I don't know where.
Took a week off and you're.
Sorry. I thought.
I really messed up.
I thought you had the Browns written down too, Alex.
No,
Alex took a couple weeks off. He's just completely out of the
what it was. I had Browns down as my original first team. I was looking at their depth chart, and that's not even who I have.
They got Kendall Fuller and Chase Young. Jonathan Allen.
Yeah. I was going to go Chase Young, though, had this point of season.
You were doing my analysis.
Yeah.
All right, well, let me get to my team. I'll segue to the Browns in 1 second. I agree with everything that Ryan said there, that this team right now, if you look at the rest of the roster, it's very well built, but they're lacking the one thing that has helped them get over the top because mediocre quarterback play is holding back this team from being average to decent to being a quality roster. And going and getting a guy like Carson Strong is going to help do that. They're in a situation where you talked about this not being a great quarterback class. They can't really wait for the next class. And are they going to be able to solve that by trading for one of these behemoth quarterbacks? I don't know if that's necessarily possible, but their best bet is probably going and getting a guy like Carson Strong. So the Browns that Alex was all ready to talk about was my team. And this team right now has been dealing with some issues separate from their blatant problems with COVID that affected their whole entire roster against the Raiders, and hence why they played on Monday. But I think that the one thing that has clearly been a problem, because their defense is so good, their offensive line, when fully healthy, is really good. They have the run game. Baker Mayfield gets the job done, and they might decide to do something differently there. They need receivers. Odell's gone. He was disgruntled. He left. He's now a Ram, and he's doing fine with the Rams. On top of that, Jarvis Landry inconsistently on the field. Donovan Peoples-Jones looks pretty good. But you look at all the receivers on this roster right now, I don't see any speed. I don't see anybody that is going to create separation, that is going to get maybe some splash plays here and there. And I think a guy that might fit with that, what they could be looking for, is Chris Olave. We know the guy's going to run in the 4.44, somewhere in that range. Someone like that is going to be dynamic, add a little bit of juice to a team that really right now does not have anything going for the receiver group.
See, so this is my thing. I agree completely. Wide receiver is number one need, in my opinion. Like, no doubt about it.
You don't like the Olave pick, though.
Well, I'm going to say, I also think that they do need speed. And if you're selling me that in second round, they get a nice little, where am I looking
move
for
up?
here? You get, what's that?
Like a move up? Like if they traded
No,
up?
not a move up. I was going to say value. Value is
Okay.
the word I was looking for. If you get a value like Chris Olave in the second round, I'm good with it, because field stretch, vertical type of player, like, I'm good. If we're talking the first round in that range, somewhere in the teens, Jameson Williams, Alabama, maybe
Really
brings that.
You think that you think Jameson Williams' stock is rising that much that he could go in the first round?
He could be the first receiver off the board potentially. It happens every year, man. Where like a wide receiver who is very fast. I mean, a couple years ago we had Henry Ruggs go before Jerry Jeudy and CeeDee Lamb. Like, it happens more often than we want to anticipate, and Jalen Waddle goes last year before Devonta Smith. So although he should have, but like, that's just an example of like speed rising a little bit. So I think Jameis Williams, the other guy I'll say, not quite the same body type stylistically, but I think the other thing that the receiver core does lack for the Cleveland Browns is they don't have any size either. Like, it's not just speed. They also don't have size. So like, let's give them size and speed. Let's give him Treylon Burks.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew that was coming.
Just say it, man. Let's give him DK 2.0. Baby.
I was just about to say that. The massive man who can't turn. Alex, what was your point, though, that we had to redirect and come back for?
Yeah. So what I was going to say is this defense, the Cleveland Browns defense, they have a lot to be excited about as far as youth building blocks. On the offensive side of the football, they have a great running game. Almost so great versus their passing game that it can be, if minimized, their offense can't do anything. So we need more, like you said, receiving threats to push the ball down the football field. I agree with the speed. And so I agree in that sense with Ryan's point of someone like a Treylon Burks with that size that they are lacking, or even Jameson Williams with that game-breaking speed. I think those are the kind of fits that Baker Mayfield, to stretch that field vertically, allows Nick Chubb and this running game a little bit more room as far as the first couple levels of the defense, moving forward.
So, Alex, let's kick it on over to you. We've got another AFC team, one that stomped the Patriots on Saturday. And this team looks pretty good, and I think that they're actually going to make that final push despite a slow start to get into the playoffs. But you decided to go with the Colts here. What need are you feeling for them? Yeah,
see, this Colts team has been one of my favorite teams to watch over the last, month and a half or so, as they've kind of got hot. They've hit a hot streak here. A lot of that's to be said about the defense. The defense has been phenomenal for the Indianapolis Colts, arguably the best defense in the NFL this year to this point. Running game is phenomenal. They have arguably the best running back in the NFL at this point, Jonathan Taylor, one of the best offensive lines. So if we want to complete the picture and make this a true Super Bowl contender, we just need to elevate that passing game. And Ryan, you touched on this when talking about the Washington football team and their need at quarterback. This might not be the year to replace your quarterback. And though I think Carson Wentz is a replaceable level player, I don't see someone in this year's draft class that automatically means upgrade over Carson Wentz for the rest of this season, pushing towards the playoffs. So I'm going to give them a receiving threat. Love Michael Pittman. I think he does a lot of great things. He's seen a big jump in his sophomore season. T.Y. Hilton is someone that struggled to stay on the field to this point in this year. Zach Pascal's a guy. The tight end position is kind of lacking, but there's not really too much to be excited about in this year's tight end class. And so I wanted to go Jahan Dotson. That's where my head went first. But then I remembered the Indianapolis Colts do not have a first-round pick. So I want to put a little bit more realism in this pick. So I picked Zay Flowers from Boston College, who I think has some similarities as Jahan Dotson. I think he's got a little bit more speed than what Dotson has, which I think could play well into what Indianapolis wants to do as far as we talked about it with Cleveland, stretching the field so that the running game can continue to get that boost that it's been getting to this point. I think adding something to that receiving core, something in the middle there as T.Y. Hilton, is aging and is struggling to stay on the field. I think Zay Flowers is a perfect fit for this Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it just before we started that they had traded their first round pick to the Philadelphia Eagles because I was looking at your list and I was like, wait, Zay in the first round? But now it makes total sense.
Yeah.
Dotson would be awesome if he falls to that spot, but like more than likely probably going a little too early there. Zay Flowers is a lot of things that T.Y. Hilton has done, which you said, who just can't stay healthy. Like, let's call it what it is. He's been an all-time great Colts player. He's been a very, very good football player, speed merchant. Like, he does a lot of great things. But getting a guy like Zay is a lot of fun. Maybe a guy a little deeper into the class, maybe a guy like Calvin Austin from Memphis would be a lot of fun too, and that similar kind of body type role.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great pick. I think it's a great need, and I think that they are desperate in need of speed outside with a guy like Carson Wentz who likes to throw the ball down the field a little bit. So
I also feel like the Colts might be a team that because they don't have that first round pick, they could possibly be in play to go and trade for somebody or sign a free agent just based on. That does seem to be one of their biggest needs right now is trying to figure out an additional receiving option separate from Michael Pittman because it feels like he's doing all the work right now. Ryan, heading over to your second team, the Dolphins, 1-7 to start the year, now 7-7 on this crazy surge, buoyed by playing some really crappy football teams. They might have the most obvious glaring need on this list. What is the need that you're going to be getting them for Christmas?
I mean, it's offensive line in general. I could literally mock a tackle, guard, or center to Miami, and it would be an obvious upgrade. Austin Jackson was so bad at left tackle. They moved him into guard, and he's been bad at guard too. And they are trying to get by with Liam Eichenberg right out at left tackle. I don't think Liam Eichenberg's a tackle. I just don't. Like, he just has short arms, and it just has not been great. And you have over at right tackle, Jesse Davis has been starting, who should not be starting in the NFL. So you need an offensive tackle. And this might be a stretch because maybe he would not be in this range. Maybe he'll go a little bit beforehand because he's had a great season. But I put Charles Cross from Mississippi State down because for me, they need a true blind side protector. They need a guy who can play left tackle relatively early in the league. So I think that he is the best true blindside player in this class. I was admittedly hesitant on him for a long time in the summer specifically. Body type, was worried if he was going to be able to hold a lot of weight. Well, he's added that weight and he looks good. He needs to look better. And I still don't think that he is the strongest run blocker of all time. But as a pure blindside protector, I'm in on a guy like a Charles Cross. And I think that he is the most clear blindside protector in this class because we have Evan Neal, who is definitely going to be gone at this pick. Definitely. And then you have a bunch of guys after that are right tackle only type of players, in my opinion. The guys like Trevor Penning and Daniel Falele, and I'm not a big Nicholas Petit-Frere fan. There's just not a guy in that first round conversation who is a true blindside protector, in my opinion. I think that this class lacks those true blindside protectors. I still love Sean Ryan. I don't know if Sean Ryan's going to be drafted in this range. If he is, then he would also be in play. But I put Charles Cross because, again, in the first round, I don't think there's a lot of true left tackle types this year. So I think it makes a lot of sense for Mississippi State, Charles Cross.
Yeah, no, I think that does a couple of things for that offense. You know, we talked about before the show about how Miami has just done such a great job of, as of late. I think they're on a 5-6 game winning streak. What are they at now?
6, I believe
6,
is the number.
yeah.
They went 2-0, and then they lost 7 straight, and now they've won 5 in a row. So they literally had a 2-game winning streak, a 7-game losing streak, and a 5-game winning streak. That's been their season so far.
Talk about
It's
a
crazy.
team built on momentum. But
Yeah.
like you said, the biggest deficiency this team has is their offensive line. And so taking someone like Charles Cross not only gives you an automatic upgrade at left tackle, but you get to move someone like Liam Eichenberg, who's currently manning the left tackle position, move him over to his more natural position where he played at Notre Dame and came out at right tackle. I think that's going to be more comfortable for him moving forward as your the day 2 pick that they took last year, and it just further allows this offense to succeed as they have as of late.
Yeah, I think that given a team like that on offensive line that struggles at multiple positions, I think giving them options is huge.
Mm-hmm.
Like kind of illustrating there, getting a Charles Cross, letting Eichenberg potentially play right tackle or inside at guard, competing at a different spot. You have Robert Hunt at right guard, who is a starting caliber guard moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
So like he's solidified. Michael Dieter's passport at center. Maybe he's your guy next year, but you need competition at right tackle at least. You need competition at left guard at least. There's 2 positions outside of drafting potentially a left tackle that need to be upgraded. So getting some type of competition at other spots, I think, is vital.
And they're getting some of their weapons back. On top of that, Devontae Parker's coming back. Jalen Waddle, I think, is supposed to play next week off the COVID list. So this team has what it takes to really make a run here late.
I mean, and next year, too, they were a team that we knew was capable of being good. And Tua's might be a little slow to develop, but the offensive line thing is the only thing that's going to help a guy like that. Being stupid and drafting another position is only going to perpetuate the same issues. We have a perfect example of what that's like with the New York Giants that I get to watch every single week. Heading over to my second team and what they're asking for Christmas, I went with the Minnesota Vikings, who are not doing so great this year. They're below 500. They're about to play on Monday Night Football when we're taping this, and they might be able to push themselves into that 7th wildcard spot because the competition for that last 7th spot is pretty weak at the moment. But they're still pretty lacking along the offensive line, similar to the Miami Dolphins. And it makes us wonder if they were a little bit better at certain spots in their line, if they'd be more consistent in some of these games on offense. Garrett Bradbury has not been very good at center since they drafted him. He has not been very good at all. I asked you guys beforehand. I'm like, we can all agree that Bradbury sucks. And we all said, yeah, he's bad. So for the Vikings, if they're picking in that teen range, I think it's fairly realistic for Tyler Linderbaum, the Iowa center, to be in that range. So for Christmas, I'm going to be giving the Vikings Tyler Linderbaum, the Iowa center. They need help on the offensive line, and a guy like him plugging him into the middle could be a nice fit.
Yeah, it's a really good pick, I think, for that spot specifically because we've talked about Linderbaum. He's a little scheme dependent, but you're putting him into the same scheme that you drafted Garrett Bradbury to play, which is that wide zone system. So schematically, it makes sense. I wonder, though, and this is no knock on Linderbaum, I wonder from a Vikings fan's perspective if they would be like, oh no, been here, done that with the zone scheme centers, like, you know what I mean? Like, even though it's just in a vacuum, because I think everybody can agree that Linderbaum is a much better prospect than Bradbury was coming out of NC State. But I just curious if there would be like some hesitation in like the back of Minnesota Viking fans' minds to be like, oh man, we're doing this again.
There's always hesitation, so it's gonna happen.
Yeah, no, it's gonna happen. I'm just trying to like get into their mind a little bit because I can just imagine them being like, no, not another zone only center, please, for the love of God, don't do this to me again.
Well, the thing about this Minnesota Vikings team is I think they're gonna find themselves have a lot of holes all of a sudden. Obviously they have Justin Jefferson and Dalvin Cook, who are top of the game as far as youthful guys at their skill positions on the offense side of the football. But they just cut Rashad Breeland, who started every game at them at corner. So they're going to have a hole at corner. They already have a hole at safety. I would say that defensive line could use some help, especially on the interior. This team has got a lot of exciting talent on the offensive side of the football, but without the stellar offensive line play, I think they're going to be a little bit, capped as far as what they're able to accomplish. And that defense is going to have a lot of holes on it, looking forward to the future.
So let's get to this last team. Alex, you're picking for this last one. The Eagles benefited from a light schedule as of late, still losing to the Giants. Probably not going to make the playoffs just based on talent.
No.
And some wonder if they should be asking for a quarterback this year, but this year might not be the year to do it. They might roll with Jalen Hurts. If that does happen, with one of their 3 many picks. Who do you think the Eagles rather? I don't know why I said Giants. The Eagles should be asking for.
I
And we
don't know.
lost Ryan.
I don't know, Joe. I think you're underselling the Eagles' chance at getting into the postseason because, like you said, that 6th, 7th spot in the playoffs for the NFC side of things and the wild card is pretty bad, and the Eagles are well in the hunt.
That is fair.
And with 4 games on their schedule, 3 of which are between Washington and the Giants, I think those are 3 easily winnable football games, especially with Hurts. He's on track to play again, to start again this coming Sunday against Washington. 2 games against Washington, 1 game against the Giants. That's 3 easily winnable games for the Eagles. And then they round it off with, they finish it off with the Dallas Cowboys, who could see themselves in a situation, where they're at in the post playoffs as far as seeding goes is pretty locked in. They may sit a couple guys. We have a lot left to be played out, but the Eagles have a really good chance of making a postseason. And for me, what I think, obviously you mentioned quarterback could be an upgrade spot, but as far as making a run this year, I think it's going to come in that defensive back core, something we've been talking about for a couple years now. So I picked Andrew Booth Jr., who I think is, with the Eagles currently sitting in that early teens area of the draft. And, if they're going to make a run, they're going to get pushed back a little bit further. I think Andrew Booth is well, in the cards for them to be able to select. And I think opposite Darius Slay, this Eagles defense, moving forward, playing against Washington, playing against the Giants, who it looks like their passing game is just not a strength of theirs. But if you can really shut down that passing attack for the following 3 weeks that are coming up here and force these opponents to prioritize their run game, I think the Eagles put themselves in a really good situation as far as winning the next 3 games at least, putting themselves in the playoff picture. And, I don't know if they make a run with Andrew Booth, but it gives them a better opportunity to solidify 3 wins here over the next 3 weeks and get themselves into the playoffs.
I have 3 points. 3 points, Joe. Ready?
Go for it.
Number 1, Gardner Minshew. Minshew Mania, baby. Number 2.
Are you buying into that?
No, absolutely. Well, no, I just think it's so funny being a guy that lives right outside of Philadelphia, and also not being an Eagles fan. It's just the funniest thing in the world. Because Jalen Hurts is # not it. If anybody wasn't sure about that one, so he's pretty bad.
# not it. Okay.
Number two.
Hip with the times, Ryan Roberts. How do you do, fellow kids?
Number two is
that will be on the video.
That's fine. I don't care. Number 2 is I'm glad that the Eagles now have no top 10 picks, because for a while there I was like, oh shite, they might be able to get Kyle Hamilton. So no, don't let them get Kyle Hamilton. And then the third point is that I agree with you, Alex. It is definitely a need. Darius Slay had a great season, but on the other side, you got Steven Nelson, who's fine, just kind of a guy though at this point, not what he was a couple years ago with the Steelers. And outside of that, they have a solid nickel in Avonte Maddox, but if Steven Nelson is gone, their best outside corner is Zach McPherson, the rookie from Texas Tech. They just don't have depth at that position. They don't have a guy at that position. So having a guy like Andrew Booth paired with a guy like Darius Slay gives you a lot more versatility to blitz. They've been notorious this year, though, with not being aggressive on the front end. And I think that part of that has to do with that they only have one real difference maker in the secondary. It's a secondary of just guys otherwise. So getting a guy like an Andrew Booth or just an impact guy on the other side of a guy like Darius Slay, I think gives you so many more possibilities on the fronts in your front 7.
Right. I feel like that if they don't take a corner at some point in the first round with one of those 3 picks, that would be a total mismanagement of decision making. They need to get another corner, and it's pretty obvious. I mean, their defensive line's still good; it's still aging, but linebacker and corner is just still so terrible for the Eagles. It needs to be addressed.
I also think, and again, I think it helps to improve the ability to potentially bring pressure. You're bringing simulated pressure to a degree, but I think the Eagles are first or second in the league right now in lowest amount of sacks. They only have 20-something sacks. So defensive end might be another spot because they have Josh Sweat, who's and then Barnett, they have Brandon Graham's coming back from an Achilles injury next year. Derek Barnett's going to be out the building. Like maybe a defensive end opposite would be another way to go. But they definitely, I mean, honestly, if they would have had 3 top 10 picks, I would have went safety, defensive end, and corner. Like those would have been the 3 spots for me because I think that defensively they really need to fix it, and I don't think this is the year to fix it at the quarterback position, unfortunately.
Well, and you bring in linebacker need in that too. I think this is honestly a good class to be. Obviously, you never want to be in the Philadelphia Eagles position because I just don't think they're a good football team. But with the blatant needs they have on the defensive side of the football, I think, and with 3 first-round picks, I think you can really fill those positions of need with good talent in this year's class. I think it's a good corner class. It's a good linebacker class at the top. If you're looking at them in that fringe day 1, day 2 range, I think there's some talent here for the Eagles to take advantage of.
Well, unfortunately for the Eagles, they'll never draft a linebacker in the first round. They have 1979, so they'll never do it. But I think they definitely should be in the conversation this year, to say the least. Because I mean, honestly, and this is hindsight is 2020. But
Micah Parsons,
they took Devonta Smith over Micah Parsons.
Oh my God, that's going to be an infamous decision, and the fact that the Giants got swindled out of that also is makes it so much worse.
It's so bad, man. It's so bad because you literally traded back with the Cowboys and you let the Cowboys sit there and draft Micah Parsons.
And now he torments you.
Arguably the best player in this draft when it's all said and done. Could be.
I talked
possible
about this.
Defensive Player of the Year too, which is insane to say.
He was the third highest rated player I had last year, and they got him at pick 12. Like it was for me, Trevor Lawrence, Penei Sewell, and then Micah Parsons. He was
3 for me. Just flip. I think you had Kyle Pitts up there somewhere in that top 5.
I think he was 4 or 5. Like him and Chase were 4 or 5. I forget what
it went Lawrence. It went Kyle Pitts, and Sewell was 4. And then I had Kyle Pitts 2. I had Michael Parsons 3. Penei Sewell 4.
Wow. Dude, Parsons looks like he is like. And it's crazy because I didn't think he would be doing this much stuff on the edge, but like he looks like he is Patrick Willis and Lawrence Taylor combined. Like it is just silly what he's doing right now. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Goofy good. All right, folks, that's going to be it from us on the Believe in NFL Draft Prospects podcast. Enjoy your Christmas, and we're going to be coming at you with some interviews this week, and we'll also be back next week following the holidays. Talk to you soon, folks. Enjoy your holiday.